Do you have any ideas for an opener this week?
Was it like a musical something?
Yeah, a musical something. Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a heartache.
Tell me why.
Ain't nothing but a mistake.
Don't wanna hear you say nothing but a mistake. I never wanna hear you say, I want it that way. Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Tell me why ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say, I want it that way. Tell me why ain't nothing but a heartache. Ain't nothing but a mistake. Tell me why I never wanna hear you say, I want it that way. 'Cause I want it that way.
All right, welcome to a brand new episode of Middle School Matchup. Joining me today is Zach Cottrell and Ben Cottrell. Did I get that right? Or is it
Yeah, you did.
Is it bit? Okay,
Okay, I'm Ben in the green jacket.
Thank you.
Zach, navy jacket.
here we go. Would you rather have gigantic hands or tiny feet? Now, before you answer, which one of you is older?
Me.
All right.
4 minutes.
Now, Ben, older by 4 minutes. You may go first.
Tiny feet.
You'd rather have tiny feet.
Yes, I would rather have a grip on something and type. You need your hands for things like you need to write down your taxes. You need hands for that. You need to get dressed in the morning. You need hands for that.
Okay.
You need to use the computer. You need hands for that.
Okay.
I just have big hands because I'd be like, hey guys, how you doing? I've got bigger hands than you.
Would you rather have a self-driving car or your own personal spaceship?
I'd rather have my own personal spaceship because then I could live in the stars for a long time with no neighbors to deal with.
Okay, I respectfully decline, because you know how much rocket fuel costs? And do you know how to operate a space shuttle?
Do you?
Yeah,
I
it's
do.
a self-driving car. I mean, at
Thank
least
you.
I know how it works.
Is it a self-driving spaceship?
There we go.
No. You have to have a pilot's license. You have to go to NASA. You have to have an aeronautical engineering degree.
Too good to be true. It was too good to be true.
This guy. Way to go, Ben. But what is the most terrifying place in the known universe? Is it the deep ocean or deep space?
Deep space.
Space is an infinite.
Because you know what's
Nothing.
in the ocean, but what's in the stars?
Space is an infinite mass of nothing.
2/3 of the world is the ocean. We only know like a third of what's in the ocean. And look, I'm not a math guy, but that just doesn't add up.
But space is infinite.
Yeah, well, the sea is dark, and there are things in there that could eat me, and no thank you.
We know all
And-
the sea creatures, but what about all the space creatures? There could be xenomorphs or masked aliens just hunting us for sport.
I mean,
What are you gonna do with that?
he's making a lot of great points. I mean, it's,
To be honest, the tiger shark just looks like a pushover compared to the predator.
Are we still talking about space?
Yeah, the Predator is from space.
Yeah, and you know what? Arnold Schwarzenegger covered himself in mud, and that guy just walked right past. So
Because he's Arnold
find another
Schwarzenegger.
slant,
He
homeboy.
is gonna defeat the Predator, and that's a movie.
It's kind of just spiraled into Zach's obsession with 80s movies.
Which is a heck of an exception. Tune in next time on Middle School Matchup, where we rank the top 5 80s movies of all time. Thank you for Ben and Zach Kittrell for joining me for Middle School Matchup.
80s movies!
What's up, everyone? We are back with our series Canceled. Now, last week we talked about loving people who are different than us and talking about how social media can be, kind of a rough place sometimes. I mean, there could be jokes, but it could also be really mean. But I just got to tell you, a really funny story about one time having to learn how to use this new technology in the pandemic of Zoom and figuring out how to reach people, because it was a wild time. So, when all of this started, I was preaching at a church during my senior year of college. Now, this congregation is like family to me. They are all so close, so loving, everything like that. It was awesome. But they are also, they're a little up there in age. So it was really funny trying to figure out how do we reach everyone. And I was with the audio person there, and we finally figured out what we were going to do. We were going to post on YouTube. We thought we were so awesome. Post on YouTube. That was how we were going to reach everyone. And we were like, we are so, innovative and awesome. It was great. So then we go to the committee meeting to get this idea approved. And I told them we're going to post on YouTube. And then I had one of them go, "What's a YouTube?" And I was like, oh no. Because funny thing about me, I lose my patience when trying to learn technology, but also teach new technology. And it was just really not a fun time trying to figure that out. So, that was one time of when someone was in need, and we had to figure out how to reach people, how to help people when they were in need about something. So what I want you to do is think about a time when you knew someone in need. Did you help them with that need, or did you just kind of, look past it? Because I've done that before. I've looked past when someone was in need, and depending on your mood, how busy you are, because you might be feeling generous or helpful and go help that person, but sometimes we just go right past. And it's kind of hard to admit that, but we get annoyed, impatient, and it's the truth, and it's hard, but we do that. So remember this: when we are in need, we are vulnerable. That's the most vulnerable point that we are at, is when we are in need. But unfortunately, we don't always respond with caring, love, or kindness, or concern when we see someone else in need. We respond with that impatience, that discomfort or annoyance or suspicion of what that other person needs, because, sometimes that happens, and that's the sad truth. But the reality is, too, we also need help sometimes. Like I was saying, we are vulnerable when we are in need, and we need someone to help pick us back up. And unfortunately, that doesn't happen a lot of the time. We get pushed aside, like how we push people aside sometimes. And that's not what Jesus wants. What we're going to do is look at what Jesus says in 2 of the Gospels and really see what he's talking about. Now, again, I'm not going to be able to read all these. These are a lot of verses. So I would love for you to read this on your own. It's good stuff here. So the first one we're going to look at is the Gospel of Mark, chapter 10, verses 46 through 52. Now, Jesus was walking through a crowd, a very big crowd. Everyone's trying to touch him, just see Jesus, because they had heard what he was doing at this point. They had heard that he was performing miracles and everything like that. So this man called Bartimaeus, he's walking, and he is a blind beggar. He can't see, he doesn't know what's happening, but he hears that Jesus is coming, and he's calling out for Jesus. He's saying, "Jesus, please help me." But the crowd is saying, "Be quiet, you old beggar." That's literally what they're saying. And just pushing him aside, making him not feel valuable or worth it. But Jesus pulls him aside. He says, "Bartimaeus, what do you want?" He says, "Lord, I want to see." So he says, "Go in faith. Because of your faith, you have seen." That's crazy, because Jesus valued this person. Again, like we talked about last week, how Jesus valued the woman at the well. He valued this person even though the crowds or the general population or the public didn't want him around. He does this again in Luke chapter 8, verses 40 through 48. He's walking, and a woman calls out to him who is sick. Now, because of her sickness, she was deemed unclean and pushed aside by the crowd. But Jesus looks out for her. He says, again, because of your faith, you've touched me. That's how powerful it is, just because he was touched. He healed her. You are now healed, he says. He valued her. He showed her attention. He showed her respect, and he showed her love and time. So Jesus was showing how we love other people in need. He's showing that we take our time, we show them our attention, and we show them our love to, help them out. I mean, he can show us this all, but really, he's got to explain it too. So what he does is he talks in parables a lot in the Bible, like ways to relate stories or relate to people so they can understand what he's saying. And what he does in Matthew chapter 25, verses 31 through 46, again, this I'm not going to be able to read all of it, but I want to read some of it so you can understand what's happening. He says, when the Son of Man comes in his glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people one from another as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. And you're probably thinking, okay, this is just some animals. What is happening right now? Well, during this time, they understood it because a lot of the time there were shepherds around them. They understood what was happening. So let's really see what the goats and the sheep are. Goats, very independent. They really just focus on themselves. They're members of a herd, but they just do their own thing. Kind of the loners, and they just go off and do whatever. The sheep, on the other hand, focus on the group. They put others before themselves. So what Jesus does is he's saying, I'm going to put the sheep on my right hand and the goats on my left. This is a very important place in this culture because on the right hand, that was, significant for power, for his, favor, for his love. The goats were just going to be cast aside in a way. So what Jesus is saying is the sheep, or the righteous sheep, in a lot of verses they have that, are the ones who put others first. They're the ones who loved others in need. And that's what Jesus is trying to say. He's saying, be the sheep. Love others who are in need. Put others before yourself and show them that value and that love. So, what do we learn from that? What do we really see in what Jesus is doing and showing and saying? Well, there are 4 things that we can take away. The first one is, it's not only about our actions, it's about our hearts. Now, remember in our last video, we talked about how when we call out people, we like the attention, be on all of us and say, look what I did, look how awesome I am. Well, we can do that sometimes when we try to help people. We can say, look at this great thing I did. And then go post on social media or Instagram, look how awesome I am for helping out people. Not explicitly say that, but really mean it. That's not what it's about. We have to make sure that our heart is in the right place, that our hearts are set on Jesus and our hearts are set on others, not ourselves. The second thing is, it's not only about loving others, it's about loving God. What we mean by this is we have to love God to understand what true love is, because Jesus was sent for us by God to love us, to show who we are, to love us unconditionally. And that's what we have to do. We have to love others who are vulnerable unconditionally and show them the love that Jesus showed us. The third thing is, it's not about what we have, it's about what we can give. So it's not being like, oh, look at all of this money that I have, I can just give that away. Or look at all of these possessions that I have and I can just give them away. It's about giving the love. We can give the love that Jesus gave to us by valuing others and by putting time investing in them instead of just possessions or money, but investing love and investing in the relationships and showing who Jesus is through that. And finally, it's not about them, it's about us. You see, we are all loved by God unconditionally as one group. not two separate groups or many separate groups. God loves us all equally. Because a lot of the time when we try to help others, we think in two different groups. We think of the ones who need help as them, and then us, the ones who are helping, or vice versa. But in reality, he treated them not just with compassion when he's helping other people. Jesus treated them with the respect, treating them as equals, regardless of how different they are, what they believe, like we talked about last week. We are all under God. We are all equal under God, loved by him and valued by him.
You are here, touching every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, healing every heart. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, turning lives around. I worship you. I worship you. You are here, mending every heart. I worship you. Oh, I worship you. 'Cause you are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. And my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. And my God, that is who you are. Oh, and that is who you are. 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 Oh, even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Even when I don't see it, you're working. Even when I don't feel it, you're working. You never stop. You never stop working. You never stop. You never stop working. Waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness. And my God, that is who you are. You are waymaker, miracle worker, promise keeper, light in the darkness.
So how do we do this? We've talked about all these things that Jesus has talked about, of what to do, how to do it, but really, what are the things that we can do? I remember when I was younger, I had some people that would let me come sit at their table when I was switched from, team 1 to team 2 in our class, and that made a world of difference to me. Because at that point, I didn't have any friends yet, but they showed compassion, they valued me, and they loved me in that moment. Because when you do these things, you are able to show the love of God. You're able to show who God is by loving someone. So think about that. Love people who are in need. Be well.